Hello, everybody.
Yo.
What is happening? Welcome back. It's your girl Crazy K here, doing another podcast. Living the life.
Day life.
Um, Today I am joined with Jordan Adamo.
Hello.
Hello. And yeah, how are you, dude?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. I like the setup you got here. It's pretty cool.
Thank you. So today, for anybody who's listening, we are going to be talking about tattoos. And with tattoos, we're going to be kind of talking about the social and emotional connections with them and how that affects people who have them and also people who don't have them.
All right.
So yeah. So Jordan, why don't you start off with telling us a little bit about yourself?
So I am a gamer, a streamer, a nerd, all of the above. Like to do a bunch of streaming on Twitch, fun stuff like that, and I kind of have tattoos that sort of reflect that idea. Mainly, all of my tattoos are very nerdy and kind of unique and fun. So I don't really have any like super meaningful tattoos. Well, they're meaningful to me, but not like heartfelt. So, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Nerdy, gamey.
Awesome. So I'm gonna kind of dive into your tattoos a little bit more. Um, when it comes to choosing your tattoos, what would you say kind of helps you spark that decision to pick what you pick?
Oh man. So I guess I'll just start with like my first tattoo. So I have a Pikachu on my ankle from Pokemon, and I got that with my friend Joe. He's like my best friend, and so I figured what a better way to get the first tattoo than to get the very famous first Pokemon that the guy in the game Ash or in the shows Ash. His first Pokemon's Pikachu. My first tattoo is Pikachu. So that's sort of meaningful in that way. And then from there it was a decision of what do I like and what am I into, and what is something that I can see permanently on my body for the rest of my life. And I kind of made the decision based off of those ideas of, man, I really like this game, or I really like this genre of movies, or something along the lines of that. And it kind of started all these interests in whether or not I wanted to get like a full sleeve. Like the plan is to get a full Harry Potter sleeve. I'm wearing a Harry Potter shirt. And that's one of the ideas for my left arm. I want to do a full Harry Potter themed. I love Harry Potter, and so that was the one of the bigger things. Like, what do I like? What do I love? What am I interested in? And can I see it kind of forever? And also finding a good artist to kind of capture my thought process, because I'm in no way, shape, or form artsy, but getting them the way I want them and having someone that understands the way I want them is kind of the biggest part of it. So
Awesome. Love that. So with this whole kind of planning and everything like that, do you kind of hope to have like your body fully covered in all these quote unquote nerd or gaming tattoos, or do you plan on maybe venturing out, getting something a little more personal, or are you kind of just going with the flow?
so I have a bunch of ideas. Honestly, I would love to get covered. That would be the ultimate goal, I guess, with any tattooer or with any person that gets tattoos. As much as I can get, I guess. I want. Let me just break it down. I want 2 full sleeves. I don't know if I want to touch my chest. I don't feel like that's something that I really want to do. Um, I'm thinking about doing kind of a side piece on my ribs. I definitely want to get back tattoos. I already have leg tattoos and some on my arm, and I probably plan on doing 2 full leg sleeves. And I might stop there. The way that I like to describe it to people whenever I get this question asked, actually, this is brought up kind of a lot. At my wedding, I don't want to be like when I'm wearing my tuxedo at my wedding, you can't tell I have tattoos. So anywhere that's like gonna potentially ruin a job or anything like that, they're basically not gonna be visible. So no hands, no neck, no face, none of that. I don't knock it. I think that looks really cool. I just don't feel that's the correct thing to do right away. You kind of want to have the hidden spots or the easy to cover up spots first and kind of work your way from there. I kind of went full out and did arm stuff pretty much right away, but I wear a lot of sweatshirts. So, but I don't think I'd go like hands or knuckles until I'm like fully established with something I want to do in life that I can support myself forever. And I'm like, all right, like why not? Like at this point, like I have, wrist to shoulder, both arms. Like let's just go all out at that point. But as of right now, nothing visible. And yeah, that's pretty much the plan.
Okay, yeah. So you'd mentioned a little bit about not gonna go too crazy until you know like you're at a good place in life. So with that, kind of tying into the social connections, do you think that tattoos today have kind of changed in how the past kind of sees tattoos, where it's usually like you said, you have to have them all covered and more of like a negative aspect, or do you still kind of see some of that when looking for a job? What kind of vibe, I guess, is the best question to ask, do you feel happens?
So I've noticed this actually recently with not really my job, but more of like where I work. I work for a city, and there was actually, I don't know if it's like a bill or a law or something that was passed in the fire department and the police department where they are allowed to have visible tattoos now. Normally they'd have to have them covered. They can't go past a certain part of the sleeve. But now they're just like, go for it. And where I work, I actually talk to a lot of like city cops and a lot of the firefighters and stuff. And one of the cops said that one of his friends that is also a cop, when they passed that like rule, he went out and got a full sleeve the next day. He was like, I've been wanting to do this. And so he had like the money saved up, I guess, or whatever. And so he just full sleeved in one day. And so I feel like it used to be, in society wise, it used to be oh, you have tattoos, you must be a criminal. You must be a part of a gang. You must be someone, a bad guy or girl. You must be someone that I don't want to be talking to. And that was kind of the mentality of the older generations. And it's sort of kind of died down. And now it's just kind of art. It's, I want something that I think looks really good, and I want that displayed on my body forever. And it's, I mean, it's art. I mean, it's literally, they draw something on a piece of paper, they transfer it to your skin, then they permanently put it into your skin with ink. I mean, you have tattoos. And so you also, yeah, related to a tattoo artist. So, but like, it used to be a very shunned thing in society. And I feel as time has gone on and they've become more accepted, it's just kind of a normal thing. It's really weird to not see someone in any given moment with a tattoo. It's they're everywhere. And it's kind of crazy to me to think like, man, if I have this visible tattoo, maybe I would lose out on a job opportunity, but it's not going to stop me from getting the tattoo. It just means that it's not the place to work, I guess. I don't know. I feel like they're very accepted in society now, and they're only going to continue to get accepted. I mean, there's a tattoo shop on every corner of every street. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, I definitely feel that. So your kind of vibe, you said, is very nerdy, very kind of gamey, almost like a little kid trapped in like an adult body. So emotionally, where where are you kind of going with your tattoos? Are you super attached to something and that's what makes you pick it to get it permanently inked on you, or is it kind of a spur in the moment emotion like, "Ah, this game is awesome," or "Pikachu's awesome, I have to get this." What kind of do you mind explaining that a little bit for us?
So the tattoos I have on the back of my leg, next to the Pikachu, are actually the the original gym badges from the first Pokemon game, with like an artsy twist on them, and they mean something to me. That might not mean something to everyone, or even something or someone who has played Pokemon. It might not mean anything to them. Oh, that's cool. I played Pokemon. I know what that is. But to me, it was like I didn't have to have my older brother beat the game for me when I was younger. It was the first games, or some of the first games, that I beat myself, and I earned the trophies, or in this case badges. I earned those badges, and it will forever be a memory of one of my favorite games, and also just an accomplishment in my life. And so having them permanently on me, it means something to me, obviously, because it's my leg, but seeing them, I'm just like, man, I did that. I beat that game. I accomplished that goal. Same thing with the Rubik's Cube. It's an exploding Rubik's Cube, but it's one of those, I learned how to do it on my own. I didn't have to ask someone how to show me. I looked up YouTube videos. I spent hours like figuring out all the this way and that way and this, and you put algorithms together and you solve the cube, which is something that people are like, you know how to solve Rubik's Cube? That's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I can do it in like less than a minute. And they're like, what the hell? I just never even tried to do that. So it's, some of the ones I have are accomplishments. Some are, like I said, the Pikachu is just, well, one, it's first Pokemon. Just like Ash, it's his first Pokemon, so it's more meaningful. And two, like, it's with my friend, and so we both have it, and his looks fatter than mine, so it's funny, and I can make fun of him, so it's a memory, because mine looks way better. He was the first to sit in the chair and get the tattoo. I was the second. The artist has never done Pokemon before, so his looks a little derpy, but mine looks great, and so I can make fun of that. It's a memory. And then this one is a Borderlands tattoo. It's from a video game that I actually stream on Twitch, and that's the job, the line of work I want to go into is content creation on the internet with video games and stuff like that. And so this was actually the first game that I kind of quote unquote blew up on Twitch. My my followers tripled from starting to play some of the Borderlands titles, some of the Gearbox games, and from that it just kind of like produced a memory, and I was just like, I need to kind of show myself that this means something to me. And so that's kind of like the idea behind all of my tattoos now. And of course you look at this and you're just like, oh, it's a Rubik's Cube exploding, like what's the meaning behind it? But it's like, I conquered it, and so I can finally take that Rubik's Cube and chuck it at the ground and watch it blow up, because I know that I finished it. I know that I succeeded. So that was kind of the idea behind them. Of course, I need to get it touched up, but that's a different story. So, but yeah, that's the idea of my current tattoos. And going forward, they're not all going to be nerdy. That's obviously the idea for a lot of them. But like, Rubik's Cubes aren't nerdy. That's just something that's like whoa, you know how to solve. That's cool. It's an accomplishment. But like, I have ideas. I want to get like a very, very hyper realistic eyeball, and I want it to be like the shape of an island. It's really hard to explain, but I have the vision in my mind, and I actually want to get it on my bicep right here. And so doing that, it's from a song that I like a lot from my favorite band, and so it's like a conquering your fears, and it's hard to explain. I know it in my head, but it's really hard to explain what it means to me. But it's something that since I know it, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, what does that tattoo mean? Well, that tattoo is a Pikachu, and he's adorable. That's what it means. They don't all have to have a meaning. And so, like, I'd be down to go get a smiley face on my leg. Like, why not? Or just something stupid to fill in the spots that the other meaningful ones will actually take place. So there's not going to be a method to the madness with everything.
Awesome. Yeah, I really like that. So it seems to kind of portray that you have more deeper meanings for these like fun tattoos, which is really, really cool. So you did kind of touch on this a little bit, but in society and with having that kind of emotion that's for you, but not really understandable for everyone, can you kind of explain that kind of first initial reaction when someone's like, "Oh, well, what does that mean?" Like, do you have to kind of sit there and think about, okay, how do I explain this so people will understand what's going on? Or do you kind of just, as you kind of already kind of stated with the whole, it's a Pikachu, like, duh. Will you kind of go further into that for me?
Yeah, so it's actually funny that you mentioned that. There's actually a story behind this specific tattoo. So it's a rock formation. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a rock formation in the shape of a vault symbol. It's a part of the game, and a lot of the game is very gory and very bloody, and kind of like sporadic and random, and you fight a lot of things and you use these cool guns and stuff. That's the game. That's what you do in the game. So we wanted to portray that in the best way we could with paint or with blood splatter. And so it was kind of a last minute decision. We got the circle done, we got the little arch done, and that was it. That's all we had. And then the artist was like, man, because he's played the game before, he's like, man, it needs blood. It needs blood. We got to add blood. And so he kind of just made it up, honestly. He just threw it on there. He had some like stencils of blood splatter designs, and he just started freehanding, and it even like looks like my skin is stained. So now that you know that I have blood splatter on my arm, I was at work, and my job, that they don't care if we have visible tattoos. They don't care. And so I'm sitting there, I'm doing my work, whatever, and this guy comes up and he's like, bro, you're bleeding. And I was like, what? Where? And he's like, on your arm. And I like looked down, I was like, oh, and I like kind of showed him more. And so he was like, oh, okay, it's just a tattoo. And I was like, yeah, I'm totally fine. Like, I'm super good. Don't worry. And he's like, well, what is the tattoo? And so it kind of started a conversation. And then it just led to, oh, I've played Borderlands. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I live in, you know, they made the game here in the same city. Like, they made it in our city. And they're like, he's like, what? They made Borderlands, the game? And I was like, yeah, Gearbox is located here in our city. And he's like, holy crap, that's awesome. And I was like, well, by the way, I stream it on Twitch. And he followed me. And so he's like, dude, I watch Twitch all the time. I like watching Fortnite. And I was like, you need to stop that and watch good games. And so he then transitioned into actually watching me, and he actually like pops in chat every so often. He's like, hey, what's up, dude? And I see him at work all the time, and he's like, oh, hey, how's it going? And it's a good time. So it's like, initially they don't really necessarily mean anything to the eye, but when you start getting further into it, and you actually like how I have explained what they all are to me, to you start to understand me more as a person, I guess. And yeah, like I said, the Pikachu, it's just Pikachu. There's really no super meaning behind it, but it's there and I know it. And like the Rubik's Cube, this is actually pretty cool. So this little white square, it's kind of hard to see, but that square right there is white. It's actually not supposed to be white. Technically, it's supposed to be blue based off of a real Rubik's Cube. So in theory, this is an unsolvable Rubik's Cube, because this red white piece is also, let me see if I can point this out. This white piece right here, it's so hard to see, I know, but they're technically the two of the same pieces, which means it's not truly solvable. But I didn't know that until after the tattoo was done. And now, okay, it's a white piece. You could go in, fill it in with blue easily, and boom, it's solvable. And I initially wanted to do that. I was like, let's go fill this in, let's get it done. But there's two other blue pieces on the same side, and I feel like that would, one, be too much blue in one area, and two, I kind of like that it's not solvable. It's just like life. It's not perfect. It's not solvable. It's physically not possible to solve it, just like life. So it gets another meaning behind it. The further you have it, the longer you have it, you're like, man, this game, I've applied to work here. So if I did get a job at Gearbox, it would mean something to me more. Oh, I work here, rather than just, oh, I like this game. So as the time goes on, you start to get more meanings behind your tattoos. And that's just me personally. I don't know if everyone feels like that, but like, you have a jellyfish. Do you like jellyfish?
No.
It's like I don't know. It's just a thing. You find out the meaning sometimes after the tattoo is done.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick little break, and when we get back, we'll kind of dive into your kind of thought process on finding that artist and what that kind of means for you. So we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Enjoy some awesome music. Alrighty, y'all. We are back.
back.
Thank you for appreciating us for needing breaks, because
We're
we're
only
only
human.
human.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
artists.
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 For somebody who does have tattoos, I totally understand how hard it is to find an artist and it being an artist that you trust. So let's kind of dive into your experience finding your artist. Are all your tattoos done by the same person? Are they done by different people? Give us a little bit of background about your artist experience.
So this is actually a full-on story. So my tattoos are from two different artists. I kind of mentioned this earlier. The first tattoo I got was Pikachu. The artist that did the Pikachu tattoo has never watched, never seen, never heard of Pokemon, never done a Pokemon tattoo. So I was a little skeptical going into I'm gonna go get a Pokemon tattoo, and this guy's never even heard of Pikachu or Pokemon or anything. He did a fantastic job. That's besides the point, but it was one of those do we go back kind of thing. And it was like a sale going on this weekend. It was the weekend Pokemon Go came out a few years ago, and so it was like they're doing these flash pop-up tattoos and they're gonna be like $20, and this is what you get. But if you pay more, you can have it colored, you can have it detailed, kind of have a little bit longer of a session. And so that was the idea behind it. So we were like, okay, let's go see what they have, because they only print so many stencils and you just kind of have to shuffle through them, and you're like, I want this one. And so we got there. It was the last day. It was almost closing time, and so they were all kind of done. They were kind of done with it. They were basically like, it's over, but like we'll still do it. We have an artist that's still here that's free. And so we're like, okay, well, we both want to get Pikachu. And he's like, I'm gonna be honest, like I'm one of the best tattooers here. He didn't say this, but he's literally like a famous tattoo artist. Like, I'm one of the best tattoo artists here, and so I don't do like these flash up weekends that we do, these pop-up weekends. I normally don't do them. I'm like in the upstairs studio. I kind of do my own thing. But since I'm here and I'm free, like I'll do it. But just know I've never done Pokemon stuff. I don't even really know what it is. And I was like, well, one, how do you not know what Pokemon is? It's very, very, very famous. And two, like, are you assuring me that you're gonna do a good job? Because like I'm spending good money. I want to make sure it's like not gonna look stupid. And so we flipped through his, like, we were like, sure, let's do it. We flipped through his portfolio while he was setting up, and I was like, man, this guy's really good with color. He's really good with lines. And like at the time, I really didn't know what that meant, but my buddy Joe already had tattoos. He already understood the kind of concept. And so he was like, okay, his line work is good. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And he was like, his blacks are really, really good. They're straight. And I was like, what? And he's just like, okay, you start with black, then you go to color, you work your way down a spectrum of colors. And so I was like, okay, let's just do it. So like I said, my buddy Joe went first. He's never done Pikachu before, so my buddy Joe's is a little fatter and a little shorter than mine. He perfected his craft with mine, and my Pikachu looks crispy. He is kind of faded. One of his lines is a little faded on his head, but that's, it's been a few years. So that was kind of how I initially, that was my first initial, this is a tattoo artist, do we go back? And so a few years, this is kind of a long story, sorry. A few years go by, like a year and a half, maybe 2 years go by, and I'm like, man, I really want to get more tattoos. I understand it. I know the pain. It's a very addictive thing. That pain is just like white hot for a few seconds, and then it goes away, and you're like, okay, I'm good. Okay, more. And then it starts again. You're like, okay, that really, it feels really good. Okay, give me more. And so that's kind of the feeling of it. And you're just like, oh man, like I want to go get more. And so I finally like saved up a bunch of money, and I was like, let's just go. Let's just figure it all out. And so I was following a lot of artists on Instagram, and
Instagram.
Yeah, and so there's like crazy artists out there. You can follow all the hashtags, do all the things. And so I was looking up like nerdy tattoos. I found a couple of artists on like Pinterest that like link their Instagram and stuff. And so I found this one guy, and I was like, man, this guy's really close. He's really good. He does a lot of nerdy stuff. He's done Pokemon tattoos. I wanted to get my badges. This was my second tattoo, is my Pokemon badges, which I guess in theory is 8 tattoos down my leg, down my back of my calf, or my calf. So it's a long tattoo because I'm tall, but like it's not necessarily like super detailed. And so I was like, okay, this guy's he knows how to do nerdy stuff. He should be fine. And so I followed him, and in doing so, like people that worked at the shop followed me. And so I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like I'm getting some followers. What's up? Like, let's go and see like if they do like walk-ins. Let's like call them up and see. And so it was like a Saturday, I believe, and I called them and I was like, hey, this is kind of my idea. Is Mike there? Because the guy that I followed, his name is Mike. And so I was like, is Mike there? Like, is he here? Like, can we do stuff with him today? And they're like, yeah, we do walk-ins. Mike's here right now. And I was like, the bald dude, right? And he's like, yeah, the bald dude. Yeah, Mike, he's totally cool. Yeah, bro, come on in. And I was like, all right, this guy sounds like an idiot. 1 and 2, let's do it. Like, this guy on the phone like is kind of weird. So let's just go talk to the artist, see what he thinks. So I had the idea. I had some pictures that I wanted to kind of get translated into it. And we go in, and I don't see this guy Mike. I'm like, I know what this guy looks like. I follow him on Instagram. Like, where's this guy Mike? There's another bald dude, and that guy's a dick. But like, where's this Mike guy? Like, I don't know. And so we talked to the other bald dude, which was also named Mike or Michael. And it's a coincidence, right? Like 2 bald dudes, both the same name, both work in the same shop. It's cool. And so, and like the first initial reaction when you go into a tattoo shop as a skinny, nerdy white kid that's really tall and doesn't have any tattoos but one, and it's a Pikachu, you kind of get some looks and you kind of get some, what are you doing here? Like, do you understand like what you're doing? And so I initially was like, okay, how's it going? Hi, I'm Jordan. And he's like, what do you want? And I was like, okay, this guy is scary. And so
welcome to the tattoo.
Yeah, like, and so he basically was like, I don't care to introduce myself. What is the tattoo called? So I can go look it up on the internet. I'll draw something up. We can go from there. I was like, okay, Pokemon Generation 1 gym badges. That's all you need to know. And he was like, okay. Walks away. I'm chilling. I'm like, I'm not getting a good vibe from this guy. He's kind of an asshole. Like, I don't know. And so then after all is said and done, he comes back like 20 minutes later, and I'm like, did we just leave? Like, what do we do? And the tattoo like apprentice, the guy that's like working there, he comes over and he's like, hey, he's pretty much almost done with like the draw up. It's gonna be like $450. And I was like, and he's like, oh, I kind of like look hesitant, and he was like, well, it's a long part of the leg, it's a lot of colors, it's gonna take a while, and so that's actually a pretty good price. And he was like, I was like, okay, let's you know what, let's just do it. And so, and it, like, honestly, like one of the best decisions of my life. Michael and I are still friends. Like, I talk to him a lot. He's super cool. He did both of these on my arm as well. Turns out to be like just a cuddly teddy bear, and he's also like a lot shorter than me, so I could take him at basketball. But he's a super cool dude. He's a super cool guy. I'm only gonna go to Mike. He's awesome. So that was kind of the story. It sprouts further, but you know, that's it, man. He understands tattoos. His portfolio is really good. He knows how to do color. He's been doing it for a long time. So just a very experienced artist, and turns out to be super awesome as well. So
Awesome. Yeah, I actually got to meet Michael, and that's kind of how I met you in the process. You were in there trying to get new tattoos situated. Um, but yeah, I think you nailed it, dude. You like hit every
I try.
nail.
Everyone.
Like
Aced
aced
every
every
line,
line,
filled
filled it in with color, gave it some pizzazz. But yeah, so thank you so much for coming in.
Of course,
Super
of course.
appreciate it. And for my lovely followers, if y'all are interested in seeing another video of my lovely voice and face, then be sure to be sure to tune in next week, because we will be talking about a pretty deep topic that's been hitting us a little hard lately, and that's going to be climate change. And maybe I can get Jordan to come back and talk a little bit about that with us. Um,
Hey.
but be sure to keep your eye out for that, because I will be posting sometime next week, depending on how crazy my life ends up being. So, but thank you so much again.
Of course, of course. I love talking about tattoos, so maybe I'll
Yeah.
go get some more between now and next
Yeah,
week, and then we'll
we should go get one.
we'll talk about it then.
But thank you again, and y'all have a great night. Bye.